I had a customer come in. He wants a full rebuild on this 07 CR125 engine. Looks pretty good from the outside. He did mention there is a stripped bolt somewhere, so I'll have to tap that out too. But other than that, got everything here. Got a tiny little 2-stroke piston. There's a little baby thing. Look how small it is. So cute. We got everything right here. All gaskets. Whole bottom end. Look at that. Okay, so this piston, something happened in there that was not very good. This piston is very, you can feel like chips out of it. The cylinder is pretty scratched up. I don't know if you see that one right there, but that one you can feel with your finger very well. It's really rough. That's like the only big mark really. But yeah, you should be able to like not feel anything with your fingernails. If you scratch around, I don't feel anything. Feel a little bit up there, but that one is really bad. Bike's definitely been run pretty hard, but at least it's not like blown up. The bottom end, if you want to push it up and down, and this has no play in it up and down. It should have like a tiny bit side to side, so you should be able to move it a little bit side to side, 0 up and down without it like turning, of course, but 0 up and down. That's what it has, so it's perfect there. But I'm gonna have to hone this out a little bit. Hopefully I won't hone it out too much so that it has to be big board. Alright, to take the piston out, there are these little circlips. Focus, you can do it. Alright, you see these little circlips? These are the new ones. So these little circlips go right in this hole right here, and it'll like snap in place. I'll show you that one. Put it all back together, but those little circlips, so you gotta take them out before the piston comes out. And then there's this little rod that goes through it all, keeps it all in there. So take the pins out, and then you can slide that rod out and take the piston off. What I was doing there is, alright, focus, you can do it, come on, focus. So what I was doing is the little pin is right in there, and you see there's this little gap right here where you can kind of stick a screwdriver or pliers in and pull them out. I like to get a screwdriver in there, like a little tiny screwdriver, and pry it out. But it's in a groove up there, so you can just push it around to get it to where you can grab it. That's all I was doing right there. Okay, there's one of the little pins out. Okay, any minute now. Okay, try to focus, please. There you go. That's one pin, and really you only need one pin out. So now I can push out this little stuck. And push out that little pin. Okay, we might have made a slight little boo-boo off camera, but you know, it's okay. Shit happens. Let's get back to popping this out. Boom. Don't have to take the second pin out. Same thing putting it in. Put one pin in, like with the piston outside, and then you can put the piston on, put this in, and then you can put the second pin in. It saves you so much time because putting these pins in and taking them out are a real pain in the ass. And then you got this bearing that we will reuse because I don't see a new one. So, but I mean, the bottom end looks good. The top end's kind of shot, but bottom end looks good. There's no up and down play at all. Zero, barely any side to side, so that's perfect. Alright, so now we got the top end. Let's start taking the flywheel off. We'll take the clutch off. And then we can start taking the cases. Okay, you see these bolts for the clutch? These are, there's like a little spring under them, so they have a lot of tension on them. So you want to take them off and put them on in a crisscross pattern. So you go here, 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 here. And do that for the head too. That's all one piece. And then you got your little friction plate right here. It's got two pieces on it, a little spacer, and you're gonna also have a little rod. Take that rod out. That rod is what is connected to your shift lever that usually is right there. Guess didn't come with it, but shift lever is right there, and the rod runs all the way through the engine. So when you pull in the clutch and pulls that, it pushes the rod out, which pushes through here, pushes on this thing, and it'll push the plate out, and that's what basically makes it neutral. So you can like shift gears, and here's your plates. It's always like one after the other. So you got friction plate, spacer, friction plate, spacer, and I believe there's 8 of these, 7 of these, or the other way around. Either way. I think I said the wrong ones. I switched them up. This is actually your clutch plate, and this is your friction plate. If you look right here, there's a washer right here that you kind of crush up, so it keeps this nut from coming loose. So we got to bend that out. You just take a little screwdriver, hammer, get it down in there. It's gonna spin on you, and that way you can hold it and you can undo that nut. And I'm gonna use it to get that washer out since it keeps moving on me, since I can't put it in gear. So now the rest of the way, so I can fit a socket around that. Alright, update. The engine is completely apart. Split the cases. We kind of just went ahead and did that because this flywheel is very stuck. I cannot get it off. I broke one of my pullers. I tried to weld up where it broke, and just wasn't strong enough. Broke again. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the flywheel off, but everything else looks good. Cases are split. All parts scattered around. Clutch looks good. These plates are good, except for there's a broken piece right there. I didn't see that until now, so gonna need new plates. Alright. But trans looks really good too. There's no chipping on any of the gears. I don't see any like damage that piece could have caused. Everything looks good. So really, next step, I'm just gonna get this flywheel off. And seeing as it's been such a pain and I just kind of skipped this whole process, I'm gonna skip the pain for you guys too. So we're gonna do a little magical trick. It's called snap. Shit. Oops. It's day 2604 in 2 minutes. And I can't get this flywheel off. And it's driving me insane. I've been jerking, I've been trying to get this flywheel off for so long and it doesn't come off. I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'm very hungry. Got it! That was a very long process. But cases are split. Everything is apart. We've got everything laid out, ready to be put back together or touched up a little bit. Everything looks good except for one friction plate on the clutch. I just ordered one because all the rest look good. We're gonna have to hone out the cylinder, but right now let's do the bottom end. So let's knock that crank out, put a new one in, start putting everything back together. Alright, now that we got the crank out, I'm going to clean up the surfaces, get all these excess like gasket off, make them nice and kind of even flush, and then yeah, we can start putting everything back in. A few things before we put everything back in. I got new seals too. So crank bearing, like crank bearing seals, we're gonna replace this one there. And we've got one right in there. And I got seals everywhere else, but those are the main ones that we're just gonna put in for right now. So let's put those in, and then we can put the crank in, and then we'll put the trans in, and then we can put the cases together. A few things before we put everything back in. I got new seals too. So crank bearing, like crank bearing seals, we're gonna replace this one there. And we've got one right in there. And I got seals everywhere else, but those are the main ones that we're just gonna put in for right now. So let's put those in, and then we can put the crank in, and then we'll put the trans in, and then we can put the cases together. And what I like to do with new bearings and new gaskets as well is I like to grease them up a little bit. Just grease it up so bearing will, or the seals, my bad. The seals will slide in nice and easy. That'll be nice. It'll lubricate bearings a little bit too. Just grease that up. Make sure the ring is facing down. We'll just press that in. There, I don't just pop, slide it right in there. Don't have to pound it down. Nice and easy. Alright, that should be good. This one should go there, and that one should come up, and that's neutral. Yep. Alright, that's good. That. Slip this on through. These. This one says L, and this one goes on top. So this one will be the bottom. There we go. This one slides in just like that, up there. This goes through like that. Perfect. Trans is in. Beautiful. Alright, and this washer will go on the back. It'll be your idler gear washer. So it sits right here, and it usually sits on top or the bottom. You'll have to look at your manual, but it'll usually sit on the top and have a circlip. This one doesn't have a circlip, so it might sit on the bottom. Alright, we got this new O-ring right here, so I'm gonna grease it up. Oh, that's a shit ton of grease. Oops. That's okay, because we're gonna grease up the gasket as well. Put that in there. Beautiful. We're just gonna take the gasket and grease up both sides. Alright, nice. So now let's put this on, carefully flatten it down, try to crease it, sit around this O-ring. And once we get the cases on, we will cut these with just a razor blade. Alright, and here's our new crank. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. Alright, so we'll go in this way. I'll just heat up the bearing. That way it'll expand and it'll make it way easier for you to put your crank in. If you have the bearing out, you can take it one step further and put the bearing in the freezer. So you can put the bearing in the freezer and then heat this up, and it'll usually just pop right in. And you don't have to pound it in or really force it in it anyway. Now it just sat right in, and since the clutch fell apart, let me just put this back together real quick. Alright, now it's time to put the other case half on. Make sure you got this little hose piece in there. And then I went ahead and replaced these other two seals. So we're all good to go. Alright, we're gonna torque down all the bolts. Outside is like 5/6. These ones are 7 on the inside. There's 3 right behind the stator. So I'm just gonna make sure it's all nice and flush all the way around. Looks good. Alright, now we can cut these pieces off. Just take a little razor blade, snip these off, and then go around on the back, start putting all that on. I'm just gonna run the gears for you so it will work. Got that. Can't go down anymore. Spin first. Spinning. That's neutral. Still neutral. Second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. It's very hard to turn. Fifth gear. Fourth gear. Oh, popped off. Okay. Third. Second. Neutral. Maybe. Get a little half click. There we go. Nope. Done first. Second. First. And get a little half click. Really hurts. You guys better appreciate this. Holy shit, that really hurts. Oh, that's not neutral. Okay, watch this. Neutral. Fuck. You get the point. That's neutral. So you spin this one and that one opposite directions. This one spin, that one won't. This one spin, that one won't. Neutral. Ow, it's really hard to do. Just your hand like this. Anyways, we're gonna keep it neutral just because. Actually, no, we're gonna put it in gear. I'll make it easy. First, make it down. Cool? Cool. Alright, we're gonna try to fix this cylinder. There's this big gash down in there, right at the bottom, right there. I can feel it with my fingernail. You don't want to feel any scratches with your fingernail. You should be able to run your fingernail all around the cylinder. It should be nice and smooth. And thankfully, this is a piston that's a size over, so that's perfect because I'll have to hone it out a little bit to fix the scratches, which will mean it's gonna make the cylinder a little bigger. But most importantly, I have to make sure that the cylinder is even and it's the same diameter all the way around. And then I tested the ring gap with the new piston ring, and it's really tight, which is perfect because I'm going to be making it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to use this, which is just cylinder honing. You lubricate the cylinder, you put this on the end of the drill and squeeze it, put it in there, and then just slowly turn it, moving it up and down and keeping it nice and even. And don't go full speed, going nice and slow, up and down. It's like the motion of jerking. Currently, at the time of doing this time lapse, I am actually sick, so I do kind of sound a little off, but I am going to try to explain. So, doing honing, you have to make sure that it's staying even because you're taking off part of the sleeve, and you can't take off too much of the sleeve, so you want to measure the sleeve with a special tool that you can see in the top right, all those little kind of T's. That's a measuring tool that I use to make sure that I can even take some of the, I can hone some of it out. And if it's too big and the sleeve is really thin, then you don't want to really hone anything out and you want to just re-sleeve it. But oh my god, this dog. But using that tool, you also want to just make sure that you're staying like even all the way around. Like when you're buying a new piston and like a top end kit, it'll say like the bore, like this one is a 54mm bore, and I'm boring it, which is still in like spec for like standard bore. So honing it out to 54mm is what I was aiming for, and I have to make sure that it's 54mm all the way around from top to bottom. And you want to try your best to hone the whole sleeve at once and not the like top half and then the bottom half. It could be difficult to do that because this particular hone, the 3-prong hone that I have and use, it'll get stuck on your intake and exhaust port, and when you're like honing in the middle around where those ports, it'll get kind of catch on one of those ports and it'll break off part of your hone. I did order a set of flex hone, the ball hone ones. I'll see if those work better and hone well, but I've always used these. I like the way they hone and crosshatch, but we'll see if the ball hones don't catch and still make a good hone. Don't do this right here. I just put this like looped so I could have something playing for y'all while I'm talking over the amount of time that the video actually took. So don't like hone it out for like 5 minutes like that. You want to do like what I was doing, where you hunt it out a little bit, you check with your finger, see if the gash or whatever you're trying to get out is gone, and then every now and then you want to, if you're hunting it out for your ring end gap, like I was also doing, I put the ring in there and like make sure that fits and all that's good. So you want to just clean it out, reapply some oil or lubricant, whatever you use. Just do it, take your time, do it little by little. Alright, we are finally done with this ring end gap and cylinder. I got the ring end gap up to 0.4 millimeters, and I have it even on the top and the bottom. Cylinder is nice and honed out, looks really good. So, done with that, let's get it on the engine, and then we're pretty much done. And then all we're waiting for is a friction plate for the clutch.